Anybody still out there? Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. You know what time it is. Update time once again in the Battle Realm, and I am back with everything that you need to know for the October 2025 update in MCOC. And folks, after a whirlwind September where not much went right for the team or for the game, here's hoping that we have a much smoother experience in MCOC for the month of October. So let's jump right in, starting off with number one, the brand new champions for October who were teased the other day in social media posts by the official Kabam account. Dracula, who's going to be a mystic, and FRANKEN-CASTLE, who's going to be a skill. So let's talk about Dracula. I haven't been as excited for a champion as I am about Dracula in a long time. From the teaser clip that they showed off, he has a degen, he has a passive regen, he has passive bleeds, he has a passive slow. I think I saw a passive fear in there as well, and some other stuff that I have to pretend that I don't already know about. I know that there is no single player in MCOC who is likely more excited for Dracula than Miss Katie Candy, who many of you will remember was a longtime creator for MCOC. And as long as I've known her, Dracula has been her number one most wanted champion in the game. It's finally happening. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't even, a little bit hopeful that this would maybe spur, a comeback for her. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess. FRANKEN-CASTLE is the other champ, one of the most out there choices for a champion that I think they've ever come up with in this game. He just looks so goofy. He's a skill champ. He's got Crush, it looks like, Incinerates, what appears to be an Undying passive, which you will remember that Morbius has, and I think that makes sense because I think in the comics he was actually resurrected by Morbius in whatever storyline that is, so that kind of makes sense that he also has that Undying passive. Alright, number two, a surprise buff for SUPER-SKRULL. Check out his spotlight for more information and detail. SUPER-SKRULL, I feel like, is a very divisive champ. You kind of either love him or you hate him. I feel like for me, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I'm kind of open to changing my mind here because from what I know about the buff that he got, it's intended to kind of fix a lot of the problems that I, and likely a lot of other players, had with him. He's very frustrating to play. He takes way too long to get to a good, point of damage. And I found his damage loop way too rigid. So, when he comes out, we'll give him a go. There's nothing in here about him coming as a 7-star. So if you have a 6-star or below SUPER-SKRULL, make sure you check him out. As soon as the update hits, he will be automatically buffed and available for you to test. In the meantime, though, you can of course go over to the official site and check out his updated spotlight for more information ahead of the patch dropping. Number three, brand new Saga starts in October. It is called the Founders War. So the last idol was already announced. Their name is Imperiosa. Looks definitely like Ursula from The Little Mermaid. I cannot unsee that once I saw Ursula. Kind of given what's written here, I'm kind of expecting Imperiosa to be the lone December champ. Usually in December there's only one champ that comes out. I want to say Isophene was last December's champion, so we've kind of had a full year of this idol storyline that they're doing. So I would expect Imperiosa to be the only December champion. And then she'll arrive in the game, and if you've kind of been following the storyline through the EQs this year, I'm assuming they'll kind of end it on some sort of cliffhanger where the founders will either show up, or what I expect to happen is Isophene is going to turn on the other idols and prevent the founders from showing up. But we'll see what happens. Probably more of note with this new Saga is the new Saga Chase champ, who is incredibly 7-star stealth suit Spider-Man. His damage is incredibly busted from what I remember of him as a 6-star. Loads of utilities, got access to slow. He was one of the earliest miss counters in the game too, with one of his debuff types. It's like web foam or something like that. Yeah, Spider-Man, just an incredibly valuable champion. Very, very high damage output. I think a rank 4 max sig stealth suit Spider-Man will be capable of disgusting amounts of damage in Battlegrounds and in War. So definitely hoping to get him and get him awakened. Now, reading this, it says that you need to collect and open minion crystals for a chance to acquire him. And reading this kind of made me think of the Captain Marvel chase, where you were not guaranteed a copy of Captain Marvel. My understanding is that it is not like that, and you will be guaranteed a 7-star stealth suit Spider-Man, if you kind of go through, all the steps. And we've kind of been used to that, like from the Mr. Fantastic chase, the Nightcrawler chase, etc. So if you kind of do everything that you're supposed to, you will be guaranteed a 7-star stealth suit Spider-Man, and then there will be, a certain amount of RNG opening these minion crystals for you to either get him early or get him duped. Number 4, Steve is back. The summoned symbiote is returning. Longtime players will of course remember the summoned symbiote who first appeared in a side quest probably 5 years ago now, I want to say. And someone in the community affectionately named him Steve, and that name just kind of stuck. Steve the summoned symbiote. The side event quests that involve the summoned symbiote are always a huge win. The writing in them in particular is spectacular. Steve is he's just like this unique character. He's like this 1-star who is way overpowered on your roster. Just such a cool champion. Now, of course, most of us already have Steve because the last time we got him, I think they just didn't remove him from our roster. So if you don't have him, he will be joining your roster for free, probably at the start of the month. And then they have a brand new Saga Incursions that has 30 zones that are specifically designed for you to use Steve in. So an Incursions run featuring the summoned symbiote honestly sounds really, really good. So definitely looking forward to this. Maybe I'll be able to rope MSD or B or somebody else into doing a co-op run with me through 30 zones. All right, number 5 is something brand new called Limited Edition First Appearance Champions, and there isn't a lot of info here, but it appears to be some type of new cosmetic that is being added to the game, which will alter champion portraits with updated visual effects. So when I read this for the first time, I kind of thought of 2 or 3 different things. Like alternate portrait images was the first thing I thought of. So maybe you would have the chance to toggle like the really, really old classic MCOC profile pictures that they used for like Hulk. Had a really old one. I think Rhino, Storm, like the original OG MCOC champions, a lot of them had much different profile pictures than they have today. So maybe it's something like that. The other thing I thought of is the background of the portrait, which I think, as long as I've played this game, has been just like this boring, plain, like black color, right? So maybe they're going to do something with like a holographic effect. Where it'll shine kind of like the if you have like a relic equipped, your champion name shines, something like that. Maybe like they'll do this like metallic sparkly sheen to the entire profile picture itself. Really interested to see kind of what this means. They haven't given us any advanced details about this. This is reading this PDF. This is the first I've heard of this. The other thing that I'm curious about with regards to this is kind of like how these are going to be monetized, because you can see here it says the first of these champions are called First Appearance and will be available exclusively for 7-star featured champions in their pre-release bundles and first featured crystal runs. So I'm wondering if like you have to buy the early access, or if you have to like spend a certain amount of units on the featured crystals and then you automatically get these cosmetics. And the reason I'm curious about that is because I think that a lot of folks have been saying for a while that cosmetics are an area of the game that Kabam should kind of lean into and perhaps monetize. And from my perspective, I feel like it's really good that Kabam is at least attempting to try out different avenues of revenue, only because I think right now they are still so heavily reliant on those huge sales events that most people really don't like. I think they are reliant on those types of events for their bottom line. If they can kind of generate interest in something like this, then the requirement from the head honchos, the suits, to have those huge sales events may not be so strict. This is all supposition. I'm kind of talking out of my rear here, but Yeah, we'll kind of see how that plays out. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this, kind of what they do with this and how it goes as the month goes on. Number 6 is the Battlegrounds Anniversary Season, and somehow, beyond all logic and reasoning, it turns out that Battlegrounds is 3 years old. I did not believe it when I read this, when I opened this PDF for the first time. Just insane that this mode is 3 years old already. So to celebrate, there will be a new limited time solo event, which will undoubtedly involve you just playing Battlegrounds and earning a whole bunch of free stuff. In addition, there will be some new and exciting changes ready for you to celebrate the anniversary of Battlegrounds. If you enjoy Battlegrounds, I'm sure you'll have fun with this, but I guarantee that there will be nothing in this anniversary season that will get me to play or enjoy Battlegrounds more than I already do, which is to say, basically not at all. So, number 7, the Alliance Super Season, or rather, the S.M.A.R.T.A.S.S season, the SMART-A.S.S season, is already underway. A whole bunch of stuff has already started, a lot of solo objectives. There's a realm event, there's a calendar. The bounty missions are coming at some point. I actually didn't know until just now that they were adding bounty missions. So the rewards for these objectives are really nice. A lot of glory, a lot of extra glory, a lot of loyalty. If you're looking for one of those 7-star loyalty crystals, you can get a whole bunch of loyalty from there. Some trophy tokens, I think, too, from the Battlegrounds objectives. So the realm event has a lot of signature stones, a lot of shards, and some excellent emotes. I am a certified Battlegrounds emote hater. I pretty much mute everybody in every match unless I forget about it, but they've got the Spider-Man pointing emotes that are just fantastic. And I will definitely be equipping one of those, and maybe I'll just randomly throw it out there, and hopefully my opponent knows what to do and uses the other one back, so we'll see. Number 8 is the Act 6 rework. Now, if you are a newer or progressing player in MCOC, you might be aware, or if you're an older player, you're definitely aware, that Act 6, one of the biggest hurdles to overcome in this game. The jump from Act 5 to Act 6 is pretty steep. Content is not designed like Act 6 anymore. And I have a bit of nostalgia for Act 6. It was very difficult back in the day, especially if you don't have like a broad roster like you get later on in the game. But yeah, you've got the 6.2 champion, one of the most difficult bosses in the game. You've got the Grandmaster, who is a huge leap in boss difficulty before you get into some of the later Act 7, 8, and 9 bosses. So as a result of all this, Act 6 is getting a big old tune down to make it much easier for players to get that Thronebreaker title and then move on to Paragon and Valiant. So reduction in SIG levels of defenders, buff node simplification, which I'm assuming means they're either turning down the levels from like, Buffet 3 to Buffet 1, or maybe removing nodes completely. Tuning adjustments for the champion boss and the Grandmaster boss. RIP, that champion boss has been nerfed like twice now. I'm interested in seeing like how easy he is. If you've been in this game when Act 6 actually came out, the original 6.2 champion was insanely difficult. So Grandmaster, not as difficult, I would say, but tune downs expected for both of them. And then they are upping the rewards. And one thing I want to say here is that if you've had Act 6 explored for quite a while, don't expect the difference in rewards, because they're not going to be useful for your account anyways. Typically what they do when they buff story quests like this is that if you've recently completed or explored the content within like a certain period, they will go ahead and send you out the difference in rewards. But for somebody like me, I've had this done for literally years. There's no way I expect or even probably need the rewards they're going to come out from this. So I'm not really going to worry about it. Number 9, surprise, Spider-Man PAVITR PRABHAKAR is one of the champions for November and will be featured in the next double track as a 7-star. So if you aren't familiar with these double tracks, they are $30 usually, and they contain some of the best and most consistent value for money in MCOC. So if you are a very light or casual spender, this is absolutely something that I think that you should consider spending on, because you will get way more than your money's worth over the course of, I think it's usually like 30 or 60 days or 80 days, something like that. You'll get something every day. You complete a couple of easy challenges. You get a reward every day. And the totality of the rewards is worth way more than your $30. And at the end of it, you get a 7-star version of a brand new featured champion, which is worth more than $30 in and of itself. So again, if you are considering spending on this, this is something that I always encourage people to do. I don't really like to encourage people to spend in this game because everybody has different means and different disposable income, but if you have $30 that you can drop on this double track, I would absolutely encourage you to do so, because again, the value is there. It's not a lot of RNG. You're going to get a lot of units, a lot of gold, a lot of resources, probably some cool profile pictures, but in my opinion, definitely worth the money. Number 10, 12 new Statcast relics, each with 5 separate variations for a total of 60 relics, if your math is as good as mine, will be arriving in the contest in October. I'm not really sure I care too much about this. Like, the Statcast relic launch, I think went really well. Maybe a little bit too well, because I have relics from the first batch just sitting in my, not my overflow, but like they're just sitting unbound, and I don't have enough of the embers to even rank up all of the relics that I have right now. And like I have, you know, all of my most used champions are of course already have relics bound, and even the champions that I only use sometimes, or champions that I use in niche situations, or champions that I feel like I would want to use eventually, all of them already have relics bound to them. So like the idea that we could be getting 60 additional relics, I don't really know what I'm going to do with them. So this is it's hard for me personally to get excited about this unless there's like some sort of stat increase that really stands out to me. I'm not really sure I care about 60 more relics, so we'll see what happens. Last but certainly not least, number 11 is this month's extensive list of bug fixes and improvements. As usual, I will cover a few of these. There is a pretty long list this month. I'll cover a few of them. You can either pause the video and read through them yourself, or you can head on over to the official site where all of these will be listed on the blog post for the patch. So either way is fine with me. We'll go through a few of these. The first one is this long one here. So updated the undying effect on Morbius, both in function and description. So we talked about at the very start of the video, FRANKEN-CASTLE looks like he has an undying passive, which kind of makes sense that it was due for an update. So it says it previously only applied to direct damaging effects and power sting, despite saying that it protected from all non-hit damage. So what that means is that it really only protected you from bleeds and poison and degen and power sting, where it was worded to basically say you could only be knocked out by like a contact or non-contact hit. Like any sort of damage over time or burst damage was not supposed to be able to knock Morbius out. So going forward, the effect applies to all damaging effects and power stings, but does not prevent being knocked out by rare instances of non-hit damage that are not directly from a debuff or passive. I'm not really sure an example of this, and I forgot to ask, so I'm not really sure. It says a rare instance, so it's probably like, you know, a few champs are possible with this. So this feels like a, you know, kind of like a little bit of a buff to Morbius, and definitely makes FRANKEN-CASTLE a stronger champion. So again here, TLDR, Undying generally better now because physical and energy damage effects like you would find from Thorns on Atuma or Korg, or damage over time effects like Rupture and Shock and Incinerate, those will not be able to kill Morbius, and presumably they won't be able to kill FRANKEN-CASTLE either, because it looks like he also has that Undying passive. So big buff to Undying. If you're a Morbius fan, have fun. We'll see kind of how that plays into FRANKEN-CASTLE's kit when he comes out. All right, number 2 is, here we go, fixed an issue with the striker button's functional location not matching its visual button when paired with a fractured power bar. So this was an issue for most of this past month, maybe even as far back as August, where you would try and use a striker with one of the idle champions and it just wouldn't work. But it would actually work if you like pressed like to the left of where the button was on the screen. So like the button was there, but like the graphic for the button wasn't in the right place. So that has been fixed. They've moved it to a place that I don't particularly care for. I the place that it's in going forward, I think, is the place that I'm going to hit it accidentally all the time. And I do that all the time when I play Isophene. I randomly throw the striker when I don't intend to. So that's just going to be something I have to get used to, I guess. Number 3 is this one here. Fixed an issue in which Dark Phoenix's Nova Flames were reducing block proficiency by more than intended. So Nova Flames are kind of a form of Incinerate. Incinerates have always come with a rider that reduces your block proficiency. So this should make her a little bit easier to deal with on defense, because if you are not using a champion who is immune to Nova Flame, and I think there's only like 1 or 2 right now, then you are almost always going to have to deal with the Nova Flame unless you have a ton of poisons on her. And when you have the Nova Flame on you, if she's just, comboing into your block, you're taking a ton of chip damage, and it turns out you were taking more chip damage than you were supposed to. So I've been told that this is a noticeable change in the block proficiency, so you should assume that you should be taking a lot less block damage going forward from Dark Phoenix when you're fighting her with like a non-optimal counter. And then last but certainly not least is this one here. Fixed an issue in which Shocker would put his unblockable on cooldown when missing a blocking opponent. So the way that Shocker works is he builds those vibro charges or whatever they're called. At some point, I think it's like 50 or more, he starts going unblockable on his dash attacks. And if he breaks your block, then he puts the effect on cooldown for like 30 seconds. What was happening here, specifically, this was, I ended up inadvertently finding this bug and reporting it. So what was happening here is I did a war fight with Viv Vision against Shocker, and you trigger her phase by parrying, which is a block animation. So he was dashing in, he was unblockable, I parried to trigger my phase, and even though my block wasn't broken, Shocker was thinking the block was broken and put the effect on cooldown. And the associated result of that is that when the unblockable is on cooldown, you cannot remove his vibro charges by doing like an intercept on him, because he has to be unblockable when you hit him with his dash attack in order to remove like 50 charges. So and that results in his auto block not going away, which is a big problem. So that should be fixed. Again, Viv, pretty good for Shocker, and this makes her a lot better and more consistent for him as well. That's going to do it for October, folks. Let me know what you're most excited about in the comments below. Are you as excited as I am for Dracula coming to the game? Are you looking forward to the SUPER-SKRULL buff? I feel like that's hit or miss. Are you looking forward to whatever this limited edition cosmetic collectible thing is? I'm very curious. Or are you most excited about brand new Spider-Man PAVITR PRABHAKAR coming in the double track event? Either way, let me know again in the comments below. Here's hoping for a much smoother October, folks. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.